Hello, Bartlett Woods. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Bartlett Woods Got Talent. And it has been a great venture so far. And today we're in for another great opportunity to learn about one of our members and something that we can get outside and do. So I'm excited to hear from Miss Teresa. We have Miss Teresa with us today. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing great.
Great.
I'm outside, so I'm happy.
Oh, good. So, Miss Teresa, what are you going to be doing and showing us today?
Well, just really talking about for how to keep it simple. Sometimes when people see the yard or see gardening that other people have done, it's kind of overwhelming and think, oh my goodness, but I've been in this house for 24 years. So it's taken 24 years to do all these little beds that we've done all over the place, but you can start small and it doesn't have to be as big a deal. You don't have to have a green thumb. You really don't.
All right. Okay. So how did you get into gardening? Tell me a little bit about your story.
Well, my mother and my grandmother, avid gardeners. Really, there needs to be a field trip taken to my mother's yard because it's phenomenal. Anybody that's been there would say the same thing. But when I was a teenager, Mom used to make me work in the yard, and I hated every minute of it. I hated going out there. It just made me mad. I was not going to do all that mess in my yard. I was just going to have some little bushes in the front and grass everywhere else. And then when I was teaching, about my 5th year in, the principal wanted to do a gardening day and said, hey, I want you to be in charge of our gardening day. I'm like, oh my goodness, what in the world? So I called Mom. Mom, I'm in charge of a gardening day and I need your help. I don't know what to do. So with her, and she took me shopping and we picked out all kind of plants and blah, blah, blah. And I learned so much in that instance that it just kind of stuck and went from there. I didn't move into my house loving gardening. I didn't want to do it. But then after being in charge of it at school and getting Mom's help, and I learned so much then, just kind of took off from there, and I've been at it ever since.
All right. Well, awesome. Well, how about you take us on a tour and show us what you got?
I will be happy to take you on a tour. Happy to. Okay, here's a very quick tour of the yard. It's a little bitty yard, so when I talk about gardening and things, I'm not talking about a whole huge space for me. We live on the golf course, and it's just kind of a small yard, but I've got little nooks and crannies and things all in the yard, and little happy places. And then the back porch where I spend a lot of time whenever I can. So there's just kind of a quick 360 of the yard in general. Okay, let's say you have a flower bed in front of your house and it's all weedy and you don't know what in the world to do with it and it's overwhelming. Well, quick tip. Number 1, pull the weeds. And then you can line that entire flower bed with cardboard or with newspaper. Do a thick layer. Cover that whole thing completely up with mulch. It's called Lasagna Gardening. It'll kill off the grass that's there. And then the next year, the worms have come. They've eaten the cardboard. They've eaten the newspaper. They've done their little worm business. They've left casting. And then next year, you have area that's perfect for gardening because it's good, rich dirt that's full of worm poop. For this year, you've got it covered. You've got it covered in mulch. Put a few flower pots in containers out there, and voila, it looks like you have this amazing space that's easy to do. All right, if you don't know what to buy, I can help you out. I'm also willing to share. This right here is spiderwort. We can dig it up. It kind of goes in a shady area. I've got Maximilian sunflowers here that come up everywhere. They bloom in June. They get about 8 feet tall. Got some Japanese iris, free. I have some fern that I bought from an old lady 25 years ago. Don't remember what it's called. It's the only thing down here that I bought. I've got some yellow archangel, which is a good ground cover here. I'm not willing to share my hydrangeas. Sorry, those came from Grandma's house. And then I've got some canna here too. And I've also got Hosta. So if you want some plants, let me know. I can share.
All right, here's a few of the Hosta that I have. These are shade plants. These are very, very easy to grow. If you've got an area of shade, these guys are awesome. And see, there's different kinds, so you can fill in with them. Honestly, my front yard's not as nice as my backyard because I don't sit out here and look at it, so I don't really have as much interest in this as I do the back. Oh, look, and there's some poison ivy back there. You don't want that. So, Hosta. Hosta is a great shade plant. You could paper and mulch a bed, get some pots, put the Hosta in the pots. You've got a pretty little flower bed. And then one final thing. If you're brand new to this, perennials, those are plants that come back year after year, and you don't have to plant them again. And you walk out in the spring and voila, they are there. But if you want something that has a lot of color all year long, you can get an annual. Those are the different bedding plants. But perennials make my life a lot easier. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This was fun for me.
Wow, Miss Teresa, that your garden and your yard is beautiful. Thank you for taking us on a tour. So not all of us have yards like that, and some people are in my situation living in an apartment. What are maybe some tips or some suggestions that you could give to us to help us get started gardening?
Well, one thing is container gardening. You guys live in an apartment, get you a pot and put a big pretty flower in it and grow that one big pretty flower, and you feel some success, and then next year you grow multiple pots. Doesn't have to be anything huge and elaborate. As far as it can be expensive if you're just trying to, oh my goodness, I'm going to put in this new flower bed, but you can get plants that are shared. The majority of the plants in my yard came from somebody else's house. There's very little in this yard that came from Lowe's. I have my grandmother's plants, Leonard's grandmother's plants, my mom's plants. I've got plants that I'm happy to share if somebody wants to start a new garden, and they can say, Miss Teresa gave me this plant during the COVID-19. You know, it would be a good memory for somebody. So that's a good way to get started and it not cost you a fortune. And then just don't be afraid to ask for help. I've got time now. I'd be happy to help somebody get started on a garden that wouldn't cost you much money. If you've got newspaper or cardboard and you have mulch and a flower pot, we can get you started on a flower bed in one afternoon. So awesome. I'd love to do that for somebody.
Yeah. Well, this has been very helpful, and I know it's been enjoyable for me and for those that have been watching. So thank you for sharing your talent with us and teaching us a little bit about your passion. So thank you, Miss Teresa.
Bye-bye. Thanks for inviting me to do this.
Yes. All right. Well, I hope you stay tuned and keep watching this Bartlett Woods Got Talent series. It's been awesome to get to know our members a little bit better and to get to grow with each other. So if you have a talent, send me a text and we'll get you on this series because Bartlett Woods has got talent.